Mediation often can feel like you're running a marathon. You get into a groove at some point. It's rough at the beginning. You get into a groove where you can focus on things. You're seeing progress is being made. And at the end, things might escalate. You're realizing the finish line is approaching. You don't know if you have all your issues done. You don't know if you've got all your points out. And things tend to escalate at the end. You also start feeling exhausted. You start feeling depleted, and you start feeling like you don't know if you can make any more agreements or compromises. And that's a natural process. And it's something to focus on. So if you need to take a break in mediation, say that. If you cannot make decisions at the end of a session, perhaps ask to table that and to come back to another session. But I wanted to also highlight one of the reasons you feel, or some of the reasons that you can feel exhausted and you can feel depleted, is because some of your fears might be coming to pass. You might feel that in mediation, you have a certain amount of loss of control. Perhaps during your relationship, you felt that you were making all the decisions for your children, and why should that just not continue post separation? And you might feel there's a loss of control over your child's life or their upbringing, because you now have a co-parent that you have to factor in, that maybe they weren't so present, or maybe they relied on you to make certain decisions, but now their input has a certain amount of weight and you need to consider that. You also might feel that there's false accusations. In mediation, we can talk about things that might not be relevant in court or might not be appropriate for a judge to hear. But in mediation, there might be a need to talk about some things in the past or some feelings attached to events that happened in the past, because it gives context for why you want something to either change or why you want something to happen in the future. And so you might hear things and you might feel like you're being falsely accused of certain behaviors, of adultery, of alcoholism or addiction, or treating your child in a manner that isn't appropriate. And it's hard to hear those things and it's hard not to react. You also might feel depleted and you might feel tired at the end of mediation because the legal process is maybe looming. It's always there, or at least you're learning that there's still another step and you need to have a legal process confirm the agreements reached in mediation or help you with anything that wasn't agreed to in mediation. And so I just want to impress upon our listeners today that mediation is a great process that you can custom tailor, and you can talk about things that can give you a more comprehensive agreement than you might get in a lengthy court battle. But you're going to face some difficult conversations and you're going to hear difficult things. And those false accusations, the loss of control, or that looming legal process can really disrupt your emotions. And you might behave in a way that you wouldn't otherwise, by lashing out, raising your voice, calling the other person names in mediation. And I just want to say that before that happens, know that it's a natural part of the process, but you can take a break. And taking a break is always the best option if you feel that you're depleted, that you can't make a decision, and that it's overwhelming. You will be able to regroup and have a much better meeting than if you just continued and plowed through your current meeting. So while I recognize that mediation can help a lot of families, I also recognize that it's emotionally taxing and tolling on people. And so that's why I'm highlighting that today, just to raise your awareness that it is common. It doesn't mean that that's how you behave in all situations. And that escalation at the end of mediation can happen to a lot of people, but just try to remember through that difficult time that maybe we can have another session when emotions are more calm and you realize there's a process to this. So I just wanted to highlight that today for anybody, if that helps somebody out there when they're facing, oh, is this a legal battle, or can mediation help me? Think about the benefits of direct communication, but also think of self-care and think of how you can prepare yourself both document wise and emotionally wise for mediation, and then you will have a successful mediation.
That's good.
Tyler, do you have anything to add for this month? Or that's all I had today. I really wanted to cover some new announcements and cover some things that are going on in mediation that might help others, especially now that the holidays are around the bend. We'll be seeing more mediation of holiday schedules or vacation schedules as we're approaching breaks for children from school. And so it was important to me to talk about mediation today because I think that that will be used by a lot of people in the coming weeks as we approach the holiday season.
Well, you kind of hit it right on the head. The only thing I would say is that this is the holiday season, and the holiday season is very trying time for families, especially in these situations. And so, self-care is very important. A lot of people just want to put things aside and uh, not handle things until after the holidays, or after this happens or after that happens. And self-care is very important during these times, and you can do more than one thing at a time. But taking a break, like you said, is always an option when you're going through these. And our office is here to help guide people, and obviously in your capacity are able and willing to help people figure out the holidays, because it's a very very, like I said, stressful time, especially when you have families of different religions and things like that. It can be very trying and taxing on individuals.
And starting new traditions, right? You might have had a certain way that you did things before, and it's hard to sometimes let go of what you thought was always going to be how your children would experience holidays. But it's going to be different, but your children get to make all those different memories. But it can be very challenging to realize, if I have the children, I might need some new traditions. If I don't have the children, I need some new traditions. And so when we talk about self-care, there's many different ways for that. If you rely on friends for support, family members for support, maybe lean into them a little harder this season. They'll understand. If you work with any professionals, maybe a few extra appointments would be helpful if that's possible. Going for a walk, being involved in any activities that you might like to do or can't do if you have the children. Maybe this is an opportunity to take that weekend when you have time just for yourself and do an activity that you might not otherwise do when you're parenting. So there's many different layers of self-care, but especially through mediation, through the holiday season, really focus on taking care of yourself first. So next month, we will have another complimentary gathering. We are going to meet the first Wednesday of the month. If you would like to join us again, just let us know. We will send you the link. If you ever have any follow-up questions, we'd be happy to cover them at another complimentary gathering. But if there is no other questions coming in or no other topics to discuss for today, I think we will end at this time. All right, everybody be well and have a good Thanksgiving. Take care.
Take care.